Seriously, Daryl? That's all what we saw at theater.
It's more theater than entertainment.
Tonight sure proved that point.
Political theater is not about some abstract universal concept. It's about here and now, about social transformation.
Beautiful. I'm touched.
Sure.
You've said that once or twice before, but tell me, love, how does my dislike for theater that is little more than asinine verbalization of Hallmark cards qualify me for the honor?
I can't believe you still listen to that crap.
Would you rather I switch the bad on you?
Come on, Scoot, don't spoil the movie. Jesus, how old are you?
43 going on 12. You like a gin and tonic too?
Gwendolyn? Gwen? Why isn't she answering?
When?
Hey!
Honey, did you walk the dog?
Did you stop playing stupid music on the computer?
Oh, and here I thought I had only one teenager. Hey, they'll be here soon.
Ew!
Should I give you their bios through a loudspeaker? Calm down.
Tell me when they get here.
How quickly she turns me into my mother. I really need a GNT.
With pleasure. So, how many sisters are we entertaining this evening?
Not sure. 2 actresses and possibly the American girl who tries to from campus to campus.
Actresses, is that what they call themselves?
These women are more than just professional actresses. They're real people who put their bodies on the line. They come with a clear and beautiful message. A ray of hope, a sliver of sanity. Women showing coexistence in action.
A toast to sisterhood.
Once an asshole, always an asshole. Did I mention GW will be joining us?
Oh, that explains the H. Stilton in the fridge. I didn't see him at the show.
Apparently one of the actresses is a fellow historian who applied to the Institute. They couldn't get together when they performed at Columbia, so they settled on meeting in New Haven.
At our house.
Well, they planned to have coffee after his conference at the Humanities Center, but when GW heard the performers were staying with us, he asked if he could come over too.
This evening is turning into a Jewish telegram. Begin worrying! Stop! Details to follow.
He's one of my oldest and dearest friends, and he used to be yours too.
Yeah.
Hello, dear mate. Long time. How are you?
You know, a drink? Daryl and I are having some G&Ts.
Sure.
So, what brings you to New Haven?
Another day, another seminar. I used to get through these tedious academic conferences by thinking of having sex with every woman in the room. About the combination of my age and the way they look.
So why do you bother showing up?
Politics, my friend. Always politics. The chap who invited me chairs the advisory board of my institute.
Gwendolyn, come say hi to someone. Honey, can you please add some tonic to my drink? It's too strong.
So how was the show?
Very moving.
That bad, huh?
Hi, Professor Warshawski.
We've known each other too long for such formality, love. Call me GW.
Okay?
My goodness, you've grown into a beautiful young woman, Gwendolyn. How are your studies?
Fine. Gwen is just being modest. Tell him.
Yes, do tell. Give your mother some nachas.
What?
Satisfaction. Jewish talk.
Gwen chaired Israel Apartheid Week at Choate last month.
Oh, really? Fantastic. What did you do?
It wasn't a whole week. It was just a few events. Okay, I'll tell. They hung up a banner, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," over the bridge leading to the Art Center, you know, the one designed by IMK, and flew Rosalind Silver in from London to give a talk.
Rosalind came all the way to give a talk at a high school.
It's Choate. They have an endowment bigger than most universities. Last year, they brought
You know,
some...
we went out a few times when we were back in Cambridge together. Not that there was anything special about it.
Right. It's like a moped. Fun to ride, but you wouldn't want your friends to see you on it.
I think I'm always quite discreet. How did she look?
I think she looks spectacular. Don't you?
You like the saggy breasts and flabby thighs type?
You guys are disgusting. She's almost 50.
Did you have her over for dinner?
No?
What happened to the famous dinner parties, Shea Lewis?
A couple of years ago, Scooter declared that he will neither host nor attend another academic dinner party.
You were great at these parties. What happened?
Not enough alcohol and too many jokes with the punchline delivered in German.
Was Rosie's speech well attended?
Attendance is mandatory at the Tuesday special program events, so we all had to dress up and be there.
Here's a resolution they introduced in the student council. You should be proud.
The famous resolution. The Palestinians want to be left in peace and quiet so that they can plan the next decent attack. You don't want to disappoint the 72 virgins.
You might find it very familiar.
We, the students of Choate Rosemary Hall, oppose the apartheid policies of the rogue state of Israel and reject the racist ideology of Zionism that has led to the dispossession of millions. We sympathize, etc. Was it your idea to put it this way?
Not exactly. Mom showed me your website. I hope that's okay.
Au contraire, ma chérie. The highest form of flattery.
It wasn't all smooth sailing, you know.
Of course, it never is. What now?
Well, the headmaster refused to have a discussion or a vote.
They're in the middle of the capital campaign. Money talks.
Have you heard the one about the two Jews that walk past the church and see a sign, convert to Christianity and get $1,000?
Dad!
What, maybe GW hasn't heard that one?
One converts, and when his friend asks him if he got the $1,000, he answers, "All you people ever think about is money."
You see, everyone has. Come on, sweetie. Tell GW more about the scandal.
Oh, did alumni threaten to withhold donations?
Are you kidding? It's Choate. They just began admitting Jews last week.
Last term, a girl actually came up to me and she's like, "Hey Gwen, you're Jewish, right? Do you know where I can get a good bagel?"
Brooklyn Bagels, 8th Avenue and 1st.
Not funny.
Carl's Bagels, 86 between 1st and 2nd.
Some parents made lots of noise, you know, tying the activity to those swastikas and fire bombings on college campuses recently.
Fascist paranoids are behind those. You know, to shut up the critics by playing up the spectacle of a real and present violent anti-Semitism.
Fire bombings.
Should that surprise you?
It's the water.
What are you talking about?
The water. You can't get a good bagel outside of New York because it's the water that makes the bagel so good. Have you ever had a bagel in DC or Florida? All that chlorine.
Are you done? Anyway, the noise reached as far as the Anti-Defamation League headquarters in New York, and once the ADL got hold of it, there was no end to it.
Just when you think the professional Jew has reached bottom, they dig for a new low. I have always known that the official leaders of American Jewry are liberal lying bigots, but that they should stoop to bully high school students? I've been warning about these vile fools for years, but I'm afraid it's worse than I feared. We're living in the midst of a crisis far worse than McCarthyism, the marriage of power, money, and Orientalist propaganda.
But we make a great bagel. Oh, take it easy, buddy. It wasn't the state resolution that got them mad, it was the wall.
You recreated the wall.
They blocked the entrance to the admissions building with a cardboard wall, dressed up as Israeli soldiers, and stopped students who wanted to get through for questioning and strip searching.
Bravo!
It was actually really fun. We had a line of freshman boys who wanted to get searched.
My junior girls. How odd.
Dad, you're disgusting. Sweetie, tell GW how it ended.
Mom, can you tell it?
Well, some dorky kid from Woodbridge called his parents to complain, and within minutes, Abe Foxman himself called the school, and the exhibit was shut down.
I hope you protested this assault on First Amendment.
We wanted to, but we were afraid the school would get back at Gwen when she applies to college next year.
Foxman isn't the problem. Pollution like him swirls around the gutters of every democracy. The world is a dangerous place, not because of those who do evil, but because of those who look on and do nothing.
Einstein.
So you would sacrifice your child's future at college to make a point? Oh, I forgot. You don't have any children.
Shh. Make nice, boys. We have visitors coming. Why don't you and Gwen go to the kitchen and prepare something for our guests? Come, GW, I'll take you to your room before the troop arrives.
Can I get a glass of water?
Sure. Are you okay?
Oh yes, it's just my back. The usual thing.
I've missed you. New York is less than 2 hours away.
You know how busy I've been. Teaching, running the institute and all.
You used to find time for me.
I used to do a lot of things. I've not only grown grey, but almost impotent in the service of your country. I used to be able to have sex without outside help.
Oh, don't flatter yourself. I don't think we've done it without the little blue pill in years.
Well, I upgraded to Cialis.
The difference?
Options, darling. When you take Viagra, you only have a 4-hour window, and it takes half an hour to have an effect. But the new one gives you almost 2 days. Of course, the orgasm is a little less intense, but still.
Did you take one before you came here?
I did, just as I left Yale. But tonight, Scooter seems rather hostile. Do you think he knows?
He's so in the dark, it's not even funny. He even thinks that you're meeting that actress here is a last-minute arrangement. Why exactly do you want to meet her?
David Schmillman, my mentor in Jerusalem, asked me to.
Since when do you do what you're asked?
His brother-in-law runs a family foundation, which I'm about to approach for a huge grant. She is apparently quite special. Did a PhD and community theatre at the same time.
Are you going to offer her a fellowship?
Maybe.
And Scooter?
I'm sorry.
Can't you do anything?
I'm afraid not.
Don't lie to me. I know the director can make 2 appointments of whomever he wishes, plus you can influence the committee.
Not exactly. The board still needs to approve.
Have they ever said no to you?
You're putting me on the spot.
You can do it, and you know it. I think you don't because of us.
I can't just bring up anyone.
Scooter is not just anyone.
Daryl, this is admirable. Actually quite remarkable for you, but I can't.
Why not?
There's a reason he teaches down the road at De Minimis, E Pluribus.
Albertus Magnus.
All right, that's sorry excuse for university.
Perhaps I should have a word with your supervisor.
Daryl, please, you won't change anything by giving me an erection now.
Maybe one Cialis isn't enough.
That's not it. Your husband hasn't had an original thought since he urinated on the American flag on national television in a show of support for the Sandinistas.
Not everyone went to Cambridge.
It has nothing to do with Cambridge. Scooter is a product of Exeter and Harvard, a wunderkind living for applause. They grow up and, big surprise, no one gives a fuck. And so, to mark his authentic individuality, he makes public urination and recycling old Borscht Bell jokes into the height of intellectual expression.
Yes, he's not lived up to his promise, but he's published, and he's wonderful with students. He's won teaching awards, and every so often we'll be out, and an old student will come over to say he was the best teacher they ever had.
He may very well be a Demosthenes in the classroom, but the Institute is all about vanguarding scholarship, not teaching students to write 3 to 5 pages of so-called prose about Jefferson and his slave paramour. I mean, have you read his proposal?
What's wrong with it?
Nothing. It's plain boring. Here's a frightfully new thought. Racism and slavery were bad.
Not original enough.
Oh, no. No one's original. Everyone recycles. But some people do it better than others. Scooter is just another Jew who is asking, he's suggesting to study the most, the terrible situation that the black African Americans were in the early Republic.
So it's because he isn't black.
Well, that has nothing to do with it. Though, if he were black, it may have helped.
He's very smart. I think he got perfect scores on both his SATs and GREs.
That you mention that at all is rather pathetic. I've known so many like him. They usually hang on as adjuncts, paid a few farthings to teach introductory classes and attend seminars where they try to outshine everyone else by quoting the last theorist they read. You know, as much as I hate these seminars, I must confess that the sheer entertainment value of watching these adjuncts, graduate students, and junior faculty tear into one another. We just sit there and marvel at the blood on the floor like Roman emperors at the Colosseum.
Baby, he's really down. And he's certainly no worse than others. And he lives with me. So if he's unhappy, then I have to play the supportive wife, which doesn't come natural to me.
What is it with this valiant promotion of your husband all of a sudden? Is it guilt?
No, it's penis envy, but we'll analyze me later. You've given fellowships to pompous empty heads before, and Scooter is better than that.
Of course I did. I still do, but each appointment has a reason.
Political reason.
Yes.
Like this actress.
Maybe. You know, holding on to power means delivering to other powerhouses like you so that they, in turn, can deliver to yours. Power is performative.
He has no one.
That's the business, dear, which you know all too well. Perhaps next year.
I'll make it worth your while.
You always do. Tonight.
Tonight could be tough with all the people staying here, but maybe in the early morning.
Secretez-vous, voulez-vous. Let me see that little sexy black curl on your left nipple.
Stop. I know how we can steal a few seconds. We're gonna walk the dog. Carla!
I can't believe he hooked up with Dr. Silver.
Why not? Most women find him irresistible.
She's just so unfriendly.
Back then, her nickname was the mattress of Corpus Christi.
TMI.
Right. Anyway, I've long stopped being impressed by his conquests.
Why? Isn't he one of your best friends?
He was the first one I called when you were born, even before your grandparents.
We used to see him a lot when I was little.
And your mom and I were his best friends when he first came here.
But why? He's older than you guys.
Well, there were some professors that were against his hiring. They said he wrote only one good book while the standard was 2. That was, of course, a phony argument. They didn't want him because he was an Oxford radical. Anyway, a group of us from the Gramsci reading group.
Right. Of course.
Right. He's an Italian communist who wrote in jail about hegemony. You do know what hegemony is, don't you?
Do you know what patronizing means? Besides, I took the SATs last week. I am closed for business.
Well, you may have to reopen. I'm joking, relax.
Not funny.
Right. Anyway, sure you'll be fine, really. And it doesn't really matter.
Right, because you guys won't care what college I get into.
Gwen, please. I'm not your mother.
So, why were you reading this Italian guy?
I wish I remembered. It was probably cool to be reading Gramsci. Anyways, when we found out about opposition to GW's hiring, we circulated a student petition in his favor. When he came to Columbia, he heard about our petition and invited us for dinner to thank us to this Ethiopian restaurant. We took you there last year, remember?
The one with the really loud Arab MTV?
That's the one. Well, we reciprocated with a dinner invitation of our own. He had no one. This was before he was writing for the New York Review of Books. So he was glad for the company. We were so flattered by him accepting our invitation that we kept inviting him. I think he ate by us Friday night every 2 or 3 weeks for the first couple of years he was in the US. We started inviting our grad student friends. They came as much for the booze as for the conversation. We listened with rapt attention to his musings on this and that. He was so learned, cultured, and his British accent to die for. He brought the most amazing wines, lots and lots of it. Our home became the unofficial salon of Morningside Heights.
Dad, Are you telling me that you guys once were cool?
You got it from somewhere on.
I never saw it in you.
You know, I gave him his idea for his nickname.
I wondered why an Englishman would go by GW.
It's probably one of the only times that I influenced anyone with my stories. You see, it was this Friday night where I was telling you about my favorite story about George Washington. You know, the Newburgh conspiracy when Washington was confronted by a bunch of officers at their meeting.
I make a point not to crowd my head with your stories, Dad.
I must have told you this one so many times.
Fine, I'll give you 30 seconds to retell it, okay?
Well, pressure.
Go.
Well, George Washington was faced with a bunch of rebellious officers, and he wanted to read them a letter that he wrote to Congress. But he couldn't really see it, so he pulled out his reading glasses and said, "Gentlemen, would you permit me to put on my spectacles, for not only have I grown gray, but nearly blind in the service to my country." Most of the officers started crying, and the mutiny was dead. And that's how we have a republic instead of a military junta.
And I'm proud to be an American.
His reaction was a bit less sarcastic than that. He said he didn't like his name, Jeffrey Lashowski, too foreign, and that him coming over to the U.S. gave him the ability to change his name. And what more American name than GW?
So you guys were really close. Did you have a fight?
It wasn't really like that. He got busier, started writing for the New York Review of Books. He graduated and moved. He got the job at Yale for Mom, and they remained close. I drifted.
I see.
This shouldn't affect you.
Whatever.
He was sincere about Choate.
I know. He hugged me kind of long when he kissed me hello. It's kind of weird.
Well, that was probably nothing. You're like a daughter to him.
I suppose. Maybe that's just how the British do it.
You know, this is a relationship you should cultivate. It's very famous. He can get you into one of those super colleges. Not that it matters.
Whatever.
Let's get some pistachios. Those Middle Easterners are crazy for nuts.
Will you excuse me?
Oh, hello. Salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam to you too.
Weren't your partner and the driver supposed to come too?
The driver stayed on campus and the other woman is staying with friends in Hamden.
She has friends in Hampton?
Or she just had enough of me.
Now, that's not very lovely. Come in, come in. I'm Daryl. We are just so excited to have you stay with us. Gwen, Scooter, GW, come, we have a visitor.
Where are the others? Did they go clubbing?
In New Haven?
Is it that bad?
Well, we're glad you're here. This is my husband, Scooter, and my daughter, Gwen, not a small peace warrior herself. And this is our dear friend, Professor Jeffrey Warshawski. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Of course, who hasn't? Honored to meet you, Professor.
How do you do? Very pleased to meet you. Call me GW, please.
My mentor, Professor Schmielman, is sending his regards.
Oh, how is David? Has he got any plans to get to New York in the coming months?
His next trip is to the UN's annual meeting in Geneva.
Let's sit. You must be starving. I remember that when I performed, we would always go out for dinner after the show.
Are you an actress?
Oh, no. I teach gender studies. But in college, I did some street theater, political stuff.
Ah,
Scooter makes great gin and tonics. Anyone?
please.
Yes.
Is this your first time in the U.S.?
I haven't been in quite a while.
Your English is excellent.
After the army, I spent a year in Jersey with my ex. We sold the products off a carton in Paramus Mall, made enough money for a year-long trip through South Asia.
I am dying to go to India.
After college,
Why? She went before.
not now.
What she means to say is we didn't pay for Choate in order for you to get into an inferior college.
What's Choate?
My high school.
What's so special about it?
Have you ever heard of any high schools that are designed by the architect of the Louvre's pyramid?
Hey,
The very one.
I am impressed. My high school looks like an upside-down shoebox.
This is Troth. It's very special. It's a temple of American snobbery. You don't pay for tuition. You buy a ticket to enter into the exclusive upper class.
You can join the elite just like that?
Transform the Kennedys from bootleggers to aristocrats, so why not us?
Vive la petite différence.
Cynicism aside, knowing that our daughter can hold her own against some of the brightest students in the country is certainly something to dwell over. Wouldn't you agree?
How much do you pay for the pleasure?
Straightforward, just like that. How refreshing. Come to think of it, I never dared ask. Daryl?
Too much.
I could save you a lot of money if you let me travel for a couple of years between high school and college.
Let's not talk about your plans now. I'm not sure I got your name.
That's because I didn't give it. I am Shlom Zion.
Shlom Zion?
Say, please say fly.
Yes, say fly. Put your tongue against your teeth and spit a little.
Shlom Zion? Nice name.
Doesn't it mean peace for Zion?
Zion. Say fly.
Indeed it does. I took it on when I joined the SS.
Excuse me?
Sisterhood solidarity.
You call yourselves the SS?
Oh, don't be so sensitive. What is it with you American Jews that you can't take a good Holocaust joke? We did not invent the use of this acronym. A nutty Jerusalem Post columnist called us this an hysterical piece, and rather than scream a protest, we decided to refer to ourselves humorously as the SS.
Not a bad idea at all. Time to put to rest all that Holocaust demagoguery that's been used to cover all that's going on. Don't you think that normalizing all this hysterical polemics into common usage will go a long way towards restoring sanity to modern day discourse?
Absolutely. I've said it many times. Of what relevance is it that the great-grandmother of the soldier standing in a roadblock died in Treblinka? And the sooner we take on the most sacred cows of the Holocaust, the more effective we'll be in subverting their propaganda machine.
The Holocaust is the theory, and the occupation is the practice.
That's right.
Which practice? Rockets on southern Israel, or suicide bombers in Tel Aviv discos?
Granted, the daily rockets are rough. Our kibbutz is not far from the border, and my mother often complained about living under constant attack. Though, mind you, not enough to turn her into an affectionate creature. During the last war with Gaza, she moved up north with my sister and her family, 1 week with her grandchildren, and she decided she preferred the Hamas.
We mustn't let Hamas roots distract us from what's really important.
Mom, please, not tonight. What was your name before?
My birth name was Hannah Kalinowski, or Hannah, as you would say it. Not the most appropriate name for a peace activist.
Isn't my Hebrew name Hannah?
No, dear, it's Nechama, Dad's mother's Hebrew name.
I know it's Grandma's name.
Nehama's nice. It means comfort, to comfort someone after a bad thing has happened to them.
What's wrong with Hannah?
Not the most appropriate name for a peace activist. My parents named me after Hannah Senesh, the heroic Zionist poet who parachuted into Nazi Europe to save Jews from Auschwitz. One of her poems was sung at the end of Schindler's List. Eli, Eli, shelo yigamer leolam. Do you know it?
No, we didn't see that Hollywood tearjerker.
I did. At school, in history class. I liked it.
I didn't know. Wow. You see how the administration keeps the American public focused on the past rather than the present? Do you think you'll ever see a film come out of America about the Palestinian Holocaust from Steven Spielberg?
Media. Thanks! Washington and Hollywood. We control everything.
Dad, do you need some water?
No, I'm fine. She's gently trying to hydrate me so that I don't get drunk.
What a sweet daughter.
The best. But I need another drink. Shalom, W, Daryl.
Sure.
I'm fine.
Please.
Well, then I want one too.
You have school tomorrow, sweetheart.
I am 17.
Come on, Daryl. Give her a chance, one drink.
Yes, darling. Stop being a controlling American parent for an evening. I've drunk with my parents and their friends from the time I was 14.
He didn't turn out that bad, did he, darling?
I wanted to thank you for making the time to meet with me at the Institute.
No, no big deal.
And I wanted to thank the two of you, not just for hosting me, but for making my interview possible. When I heard GW would not be in New York when we performed there, I thought I would miss my chance at a fellowship.
These matters probably don't interest Gwen.
But what people think of her parents must surely interest her. GW wrote me that he has very close American friends in New Haven who are his American family, and that they would be happy to host us.
They really are great.
I see.
Were you aware of this plan?
Later. Scooter is also a historian.
Not just any other professor, a researcher and a teacher of the first order.
Yeah, right.
What will David talk about in Geneva?
He promised to devote much of his remarks to the SS.
Oh, you don't say.
The meeting this year is focused on gender-based movements, so David suggested we focus on human solidarity. We built a sisterhood solidarity tent in Longtime, the town that borders the West Bank, and shared our pain with one another.
To the vagina dialogues.
I'm gonna die.
Not bad. You know David, he has connections to half the world. He arranged for a delegation of the EU to come see our protest, and they thought that it was precisely the type of thing that could sell on American campuses. We got a check, put together a text, and came.
Arab and Jewish actresses demonstrate that behind all the craziness, you can find women who are trying to change the maddeningly phallocentric, violent world. Inshallah.
Well, it's not exactly how you put it. I'm here with an Israeli, not Arab actress.
As long as it works.
I thought the goal was to bring over real peace activists, to show American students how gendered solidarity can transform.
It's not that easy to find Arab women to join the movement, let alone come to the U.S. with me. A few women came to the tent, and one was tapped to come with me, a woman your age. Very nice. But it fell through at the last minute, and we needed somebody else to fill the role.
Sometimes substitutes turn out better than the originals. A year ago, a fellowship became available in the last minute, and we awarded it to a charming young fellow from Trinidad who is reconsidering the concept of racism and slavery in the 18th century. He'll go far, I promise you.
Why are you making excuses for her?
He had an available fellowship last year.
She's an excellent actress. Even you didn't know she was Israeli.
You haven't stopped running circles around her.
My
since she
oldest
got-
friend?
So the entire premise of your show is untrue.
Wait a minute.
A con job on these naive Americans.
He gave it to a researcher in my field?
Darling, the reality is far too complex for such normative conclusions.
Do you ever believe that he's ever...
Not now, Scooter. Took Jewish actresses, some peace activists.
What choice did we have? Arab women do not travel unaccompanied by relatives, and Arab husbands wouldn't hear of it.
Nonsense. We host women activists regularly. There were women who came to your tent, but apparently you didn't think they were authentic enough for the role.
Do you know the price they paid at home?
So you just forgot about them. You hired some actress and moved on.
What choice did we have?
Have you ever been in a shelter for battered women? Have you no shame?
Women who are hit by their husbands are divided into two major groups. Those that like it and those that deserve it.
Gwen, go to your room, please.
What?
These are conversations that I don't
How old do you think I am?
You know very well.
Now you're kicking me out!
Gwen,
Going.
I was just trying to lighten the mood. Though I haven't met a woman who was not a...
domestic abuse is never a laughing matter.
I'm sorry. Really.
Don't get all sanctimonious on us, Daryl. Not tonight. This. Your fondness for a little disciplining every now and then is well known, wouldn't you say, Air Professor? Not that there's anything wrong with
You've
that.
had too much to drink. Will you excuse us?
Let go! I'm having a good time for a change.
I'm not.
So, old chap, you missed the show this evening, so we had to compensate you with some good old family drama. And you thought that you would be spending a pleasant evening with some family and ended up in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? You went to show too, you know.
Who?
Edward Albee.
Whoop-de-doody-doo.
Dad?
Bringing Gwen into this. That brings a new meaning to the term good enough mother.
Dad!
My sweet daughter, my young one weakness. Coming!
Oh my God.
Oh, don't worry about it.
They invite me to their home and me in the big mouth.
Oh, your people are not exactly known for their discretion.
I feel terrible. Do you think I should leave? Can you take me to a nearby hotel?
First of all, I don't own a car and I don't drive. But don't take it too seriously, really. I've known them for years. It's the recurring theme of their marriage. He gets pissed, says something stupid, and she tries to get him out of the way because if she doesn't, and I've seen her too slow to move sometimes, it gets worse. Tomorrow morning, she'll give him a good, proper roasting, and he'll be better for a few days.
Poor guy.
Poor her.
I never meant for
Forget them. What's your narrative?
my narrative?
You know.
My academic plans?
No. I read your application, and you've got some very strong letters. We're seriously considering offering you a fellowship next year. But we're not just an academic seminar. We lunch together 3 times a week.
3 times a week? What is a group marriage?
More like lunchtime in the high school cafeteria.
The cool kids table.
Precisely. The Institute is all about cross-fertilization, for learning from colleagues, which is why I need to get an idea of the personality of each and every member, because it's not enough to be brilliant, which of course you are. You also have to be able to mesh well with the others.
I understand.
So, tell me about yourself.
Should I start at birth? How much time do you have?
Don't you remember anything before?
Oh, he'll be fine. He just had too much to drink. I'm sorry you had to see this. This is very unusual. Should I take you to your room now?
It's a little bit early, isn't it?
She had a very long day.
Are you tired?
I'm a little wired.
There's a television in your room.
We've hardly exchanged a few words. Why don't you take your things up and come back down, okay?
3rd floor, only one room there.
Thank you again.
We have much to talk about. Come back down immediately.
Okay.
Why did you tell her to come back?
What's with you?
We must talk.
Not now.
I'm not willing
We're
to.
not going to... We can't be here alone. He knows.
What's there to know? We haven't been together in months.
He asked me to confirm your sexual preferences.
Oh, he's just acting out. This whole business with the fellowship is driving him nuts.
Well, after the performance that you and your husband gave this evening, there'll be a fellowship for nobody. From him, I can expect. But from you? What are you trying to do? Ruin me? You know my situation. Can't you rise above your own petty concerns for just a moment?
You and your promises.
What are you doing? You can't stay.
As far as I know, this is my house.
We already talked about this outside.
We can't be serious.
You heard how connected he is. The dean made it very clear that if I do not get this grant... that
Is everything okay with your accommodations?
Perfect.
Well, I'll see you in the morning. Be careful of this Brit. He might come across as smart and charming, but beneath all that lies a wild and slimy beast ready to devour womankind.
I've kept my chastity belt securely locked since I left Tel Aviv.
Well, good night.
Good night.
Lila Tov.
Hebrew?
I remember a thing or two from Jew school.
Getting back to our conversation, where were we?
I believe you were wondering if my previous reincarnations would mesh well at your seminar luncheons.
And do they?
Depends which one and what's being served. I believe my love of a cow would not go great with roast beef.
You were once a cat.
Just before I was Catherine the Great.
Oh, well, good fortune we met. Is it true what they say about your rather dramatic death?
Nay. I suppose one thing I left off my application was winning Israel's Karma Yoga event.
Are you a mystic?
I used to be. After the South Asia trip and before college, I spent a few years as a member of a small cult that believed in reincarnation, etc.
Oh, what is the name of this group?
E-Man.
I believe I've actually heard of it.
There were all these articles about kids from good homes that were joining an English octogenarian who lived in London with 2 wives. He talked to a tree and taught us what it told him.
London trees are notoriously insightful.
And how about so many things. This tree taught my guru how to read palms, a lesson he shared with his paying followers.
You don't say. You can actually read palms.
I used to.
Oh, shall we give it a go?
In English,
Why not? English is the new Yiddish.
isn't this a part of the world where they execute people for palmistry?
Don't worry. The Puritans went to bed.
I don't do lefts, only rights.
What's the difference?
Left hands are essence, and I was never holy enough to penetrate essences. Right palms tell you about the state of the person right now. Should we try? I haven't read a palm in a few years. I might be rusty. Interesting. How interesting.
What?
You come across as a seasoned, tough academic, but inside you're too full of the milk of human kindness. You see this line? This is the purpose line, and I expected it to go to your pointer finger, suggesting strong leadership, but it turns just past your middle finger onto your ring finger, suggesting a powerful emotional connection between your personal endeavors and your professional life.
That does sound good.
Inside, you're like a prize fighter who wonders whether you got lucky, but retires too early to ever know for sure. Others don't see it. They hide your softness, but pay the price in self-mutilation. Others see the seasoned, tough, hardened professional, but your palm screams.
Other parts of my body are more in tune with the professorship.
So, Professor, sorry, GW. Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Does Daryl like to fuck with her eyes open or closed?
I beg your pardon?
I'm going to guess closed so she can fantasize about Edward Said as she spreads her legs for the movement on her St. Roman Street mansion.
And here I thought she just couldn't stand watching me having a good time.
Like my mother.
What?
Never mind.
So what do you fantasize about when you close your eyes, Shlomtzion?
I keep my eyes wide open.
At all times? What's there to see?
Not much, but men put so much into their performance that it's just plain rude not to be an active spectator.
Oh, fascinating. Quite fascinating. I didn't take you for being so polite. Tell me more.
It's already been established, courtesy of both her husband and her lover, that my host likes it a bit rough. But does she pay back in kind?
You think I missed the good old days of English public school?
I saw it in your palm.
What penetrating insights the tree has taught you. I must go and visit it next time I'm in London.
Indeed, you must. But for now, I have a favor to ask you. I seem to have lost the key to my chastity belt when I went upstairs earlier. Would you be so kind as to help me look for it?
Oh, let's not wake everyone up by going upstairs. The light is better in there. Oh, stop, please, stop.
I told you I'd come early.
Please.
Don't pretend you don't like.
I can't just like that, not at my age.
What happened to the new wonder pill that's supposed to keep you ready for 2 days?
Well,
We'd better file a complaint with the FDA then.
will you excuse me, please? Oh, this prostate is killing me.
Did you get it checked?
Not recently. It's not something one likes to schedule in great frequency. I'm afraid it's taken a turn for the worse. Oh, what a pile of pasta. Oh, thank you. Come, let's catch a few more minutes sleep before morning.
Why so tired?
It's 5 a.m. and this couch isn't exactly conducive with a good night's sleep. Why don't you come snuggle for a bit, darling? Why are you still standing there, baby? Don't worry, if you fall asleep, I'll wake you in time. My prostate is a foolproof alarm clock in the morning.
Your prostate again.
Can't we wait till morning to have a fully blown, passive-aggressive assault? Ah, Jesus!
What's so funny?
No one has ever shown such craving for me before. If I let you continue, could I get back the covers?
What's that?
Well, are you trying to shame me? I told you I have a problem, and yes, sometimes it leaks.
Yeah, right.
What?
Like I can't tell the difference?
Are we being treated to an early morning tantrum?
How dare you?
What are you talking about?
You know quite well.
I'm afraid I don't.
You had sex with her. The Israeli slut.
I have never had sexual relations with that woman, Miss Karnofsky.
Don't lie to me, dirty bastard. Now when I have to look at that disgusting stain on my 850-count sheets. In my house, under my roof.
What is it with the sheet number? Is it a secret female code?
You are a bastard.
I very well may be, but why the fixation on bed linens?
Stop, this isn't a joke.
Of course it is. Surely you're not really upset that I slept with another woman. You can't possibly believe that my sex life in the past 20 years has been limited to our sporadic rendezvous.
I was upstairs!
To wake everyone.
I don't care.
Oh, yes, you do.
Couldn't you have at least waited until she was a lackey in your institute?
Well, one doesn't necessarily exclude the other.
Will you stop joking?
How else does one respond to hysteria?
Bastard.
Calm down.
And exactly how do you suggest I do that?
Remember the coexistence meditation seminar we took during the activists' workshop in the Catskills? Why don't we say the mantra together a few times, okay? Come on. Shalom. 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 Remember the lisping instructor who said "Shalom" instead?
I forget that. That was funny.
We had a great time.
Okay, let's talk about this seriously for just a minute.
I don't think you're going to want to.
We must. I can't go on with this.
Yes, last night was terribly unpleasant. I can't go on having your husband foam at me at the mouth like a chased ball.
Baby, behind your callous facade lies the man of my life. I see the good man and the bad boy, the big heart and the big libido at war with one another in you. Going after the next girl is a sign of wanting more. I may not like it, but it's a sign of life, of not just accepting that it's all about duty and convention and self-abnegation. So, let's ignore what happened this evening for a few minutes, okay?
I vote in the affirmative.
I'm ready to leave him.
What, just like that?
Isn't that what you've been saying I should do since Gwen was 5?
Probably before.
Don't make light of this. I've been thinking of it for years.
And Gwen?
Gwen and I have very little to talk about these days. Her main concerns are Bollywood and boys. Whenever I mention important things that affect her future and the world around us, she rolls her eyes. She's already checked out on me.
And you on her?
What are you talking about?
I sense some tension.
Jesus, you sure are clueless about parenting. She's 17. Of course there's tension, but in a year, Gwen will be in college and will never return to New York.
She might go to Yale.
There's a greater chance she'll be living in a Delhi slum with an illiterate jeweler than go to Yale. You heard her. She doesn't want to go to college. She wants to find herself in the Ganges. And if I had my guess, get as far away from me as possible.
It could be worse. She could end up like your sister-in-law in an Orthodox settlement in the West Bank.
Could you please dial down the volume on your bit?
I can't, I'm English. Okay.
I've been pulling that sack of dead wood for too long. You remember Columbia. Scooter was supposed to be the star, and me the afterthought. But now it's the reverse, and I have to do everything. The job, the socializing, and the parenting. He has to understand that this has been an intolerable situation, and one that I put up with for too many miserably stressful years.
Well, it's very difficult changing relationship patterns.
I couldn't fall asleep last night. While Scooter was snoring by my side, I lay in bed like a stick of dynamite, ready to explode. I swear to you, if he had so much as breathed in my direction.
You sounded very different earlier this evening.
He's changed.
What do you mean?
I've been hiding it from you because I'd hoped you'd give him a fellowship, and I knew he had no chance if you found out.
Found out what? That he's a child molester?
Stop.
Okay. So, what is it?
He's moved to the right.
How far to the right?
I'm not sure. In fact, I'm not sure where he stands on anything, but he feels humiliated and ignored by the profession and has started mouthing off about liberal academia, etc.
What, he's a Republican?
Oh, no, he's not completely out of his senses. Not yet, at least.
So?
It's small things, like he stopped reading the New York Review of Books. I tell him to read this piece and that piece, and the issues pile up by his bed until one day I find them in the garbage.
Oh, shocking.
Don't mock.
Darling, you're not going to leave your husband on account of his politics.
Well, why not?
Because it is just not done.
Not done. Who are you, my mother?
Oh, darling, be serious. There are myriad reasons to break up a marriage, but faulting your husband for not keeping up with the New York Review of Books...
Progressive politics is not my hobby. It's who I am as a person. Scholar, agitator, and teacher.
And mother.
No cheap shots, please. I only want what's best for Gwen, and if that makes me pushy, what's the alternative? Drink with her? Encourage her to skip college and travel so she can struggle the rest of her life? The more Scooter becomes her friend, the more I have to be the parent, and that's not fair. Do you know he wasn't happy with what she did at Choate?
Oh, I noticed he was somewhat ambivalent.
Ambivalent. The college advisor told us that if Gwen wants to make the Ivy cut, she'd need to do something dramatic. So I came up with Solidarity Week, and Scooter, always long on criticism but short on solutions, launched into one of his tired old Borscht Belt routines, mocking my idealism.
Well, at least Gwen was on your side.
You think so? But I had to fight with her too. She wouldn't hear of my idea until her advisor warned her that she could end up in some place like Brandeis. Oh, then she was all ears. My friends and I planned the entire week. Had we even built the wall ourselves early one morning. All my princess had to do was rehearse a few lines and play soldier to a bunch of freshman boys.
So it was you who put her in touch with Rosie?
Of course. How would one know who she was? And let me tell you, your former girlfriend was a royal pain in my ass, and quite a drinker too. Do you know she downed 3 shots of scotch at my office before we headed to Choate?
Then Scooter and Rosie should have gotten along quite well.
Don't fall for his drinking routine. He doesn't drink that much, and he wasn't drunk last night. It's all an act.
Well, you don't say.
Oh, yes.
Are you sure?
He can hold his liquor like a football player. He'll sleep like a log, and you'll see him in the morning, no trace of a hangover.
I'm developing a renewed appreciation for the fellow. Maybe he's not that bad.
Why? Because he pretends to be drunk so that he can act out his aggressive, petty jealousies?
Right, so you're leaving your husband on account of him not being the drunk that he seems.
No. I'm leaving my husband because I'm done being the dutiful wife.
Oh, let's get serious now.
I am.
No, you're not. You're just upset that I slept with another woman.
In my fucking house!
Yes, in your fucking house.
Yes. You damn well will never do it again.
What, sleep with another woman?
Oh no, I'm not that naive. I know what I can expect from you and what's expected of me.
Oh, no.
I don't feel ashamed of anything, let alone having had feelings for you.
Oh, don't give me that crap. We're both mature adults who know exactly where we stand.
That's what I said.
No, what you said was, well, I was recklessly deflowering women. You have been a loyal and devoted lover.
Have I not?
I don't know.
You don't, huh?
I suppose you have. But, except you did sleep with your husband, and that's how you got into this mess.
I've paid for that mistake. If I hadn't gotten pregnant, you could have had a real shot. But it's not too late. Oh, don't get frightened. I can see the look. I'm not moving into your New York apartment to play house. And I sure don't want to get married again.
You also don't want to get divorced.
Don't tell me what I want.
I think you're being a little bit sentimental.
Sentimental? I just told you I'm breaking up my family.
Sentimental about us. I suspect you'll come to your senses at breakfast.
Why do you belittle our relationship?
Belittle? Oh no! We had some excellent times together, especially between the sheets.
That's it?
Now, it's nothing to scoff at. We've done better than other marriages.
Is that all it meant to you? A few excellent fucks?
Oh, please be an adult about this, darling.
What am I to you? A comrade?
Well, that word is not very nice, is it? How about a close friend and an ally? A very close friend and a very loyal ally. You've just told me that politics is central to who you are. Well, it's central to who I am too. A partner in all that important stuff, and a super fuck to boot.
That's the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me.
Oh, don't act bitter.
Why not?
I don't have to take it. I'm not your husband.
All benefits, no responsibilities. Story of your life.
You shouldn't have gotten pregnant.
What did you expect me to do?
Oh, weigh your options.
Why do you think I didn't?
I don't know.
Why didn't we talk about it?
I'm not sure. You said you were pregnant. I said congratulations, which I sincerely meant, and we made love. In fact, we had some of our best sex when you were pregnant. I was spared the unpleasantness of losing my erection while you...
Poor you having to wait.
I asked you to go on the pill.
There were all those articles about cancer, and I didn't want to get fat.
Oh, but rubbish. Those were disproved long ago.
Well, you could have used a condom every so often.
I am strictly pro-choice. Pregnancy and birth control belong exclusively to the female world of love and ritual.
So, you might be a father for all you know.
Am I?
I always use the diaphragm with you.
They're not foolproof.
Does she look like you?
She doesn't look like Scooter either. Maybe there was another man.
Fuck you! I thought of you as a true friend, someone I could turn to. I thought you came because you missed me. But oh no, you're not here on my account. You developed this crazy fantasy that through this actress you'll be able to save your sorry ass.
If I don't get this grant...
Like I care about your institute? I came down here to tell you that I decided to get a divorce, just to find out that I can't trust you even in my own home.
Daryl, my career...
I thought of you as a friend, but you don't act like a friend. So I guess I've got to think otherwise. I just don't have to work this hard to be treated unkindly. You have a mean streak about a mile wide. You deal with your own hurts and desires by being charming and witty and funny. And as I tell you that my life is falling apart...
Si je n'existais pas, il faudrait m'inventer.
Invent you? Like it's been fun? In the past few months, I've managed to get 95% over you. From now on, I'm going to work on that last 5% that stupidly brought me into your bed this morning. But I'm glad I came, because now I can finally break your spell. If you think I slept with other men, then you're the one who screwed up. And if you were just trying to wound, you're simply a mean fucker. Boy, did I have a case of over-evaluation of the love object.
If I'd known I'd end up in a seminar on hysteria and the modern woman, I would have touched up on my Freud.
I deserve better. I deserve understanding, because I've given it to you in spades. All I did was get hurt and angry. Anger happens between friends, and friends forgive each other, decently and honestly. They don't act like somehow they've been wounded themselves.
What a narcissistic bitch.
you my father?
Excuse me?
Please answer my question.
Gwen, what are you doing here at this time of the morning?
Professor Warshawski, please.
GW.
Please answer my question.
I really don't know what you're talking about, dear.
Don't pretend. I was sitting in the living room for the last few minutes.
I beg your pardon?
I heard you, the two of you,
What exactly did you hear?
that you could be my father.
Rubbish.
I'm not a stupid little girl, so don't treat me like one. I was woken up by my mom screaming, "In my fucking house," so I came downstairs because, I don't know, maybe she was in trouble? But then I find she's having a talk with one of our oldest family friends, the one man my parents have spoken of as a saint since I don't know when. And what do I find out? What do you think I found out?
You must have misunderstood. Your mother and I are very old friends.
Are you lovers?
This is really...
But are you lovers?
Not really.
Don't lie to me. I heard everything. You've been lovers since before I was born.
If you insist, we did succumb to temptation when we were younger, but this is no longer
You
the...
should have known.
What, that your mother had an old picadillo?
What's that? An SAT word for she's a whore?
I'm sorry that you're upset, but really you're taking things out of context. Yes, we were lovers once. People make mistakes.
Not getting an abortion?
What are you talking about?
My mother wishes you had asked her to get an abortion, but you didn't. She wishes I didn't exist so she wouldn't have been stuck with Dad all these years. If he even is my father.
Stop. You're carrying this way too far.
Am I?
You overheard former lovers having a tiff. We said things we didn't mean. Now, you know what it must be like. You must say stupid things as well sometimes.
I don't buy it.
Oh, really, you have too much youthful faith in this world.
Mothers don't wish their daughters dead.
Oh, mothers say stupid things quite frequently.
Does your mother wish she had aborted you?
My mother. My mother. Why do you think I'm on this side of the pond? Did you know that my mother was in Auschwitz? Well, she was. When I was a teenager, she asked me to pick her up from a pedicure up in Golders Green. It's a Jewish ghetto where many survivors settled after the war. My parents wanted to have nothing to do with other survivors. But my mother decided that she had to have her hair and nails done amongst Jews. Good face. I walked into a can you top that conversation in which the clients were competing as to who had had it worse during the war. Everyone, it turns out, was in Auschwitz. And the one with the lowest number tattooed on her arm seemed to be winning the contest. But my mother wasn't going to lose an argument. Oh no, not with those women. She had declared that after Majdanek, Auschwitz was a summer camp. You heard, Auschwitz, a summer camp.
So, what are you saying? That it's not your fault? Or my mother doesn't think I'm the mistake that trapped her with Dad, if he is my dad?
You're not a mistake. You're the best thing that's ever happened to them.
Who's my father?
Scooter, I'm sure of that.
How can you be sure?
Your mother and I were always very careful, and yes, we were very much in love.
I don't want to hear about that.
Of course. Sorry, but Scooter is your father. I'm sure of that.
I don't look like him.
You have much of him in you. He is your dad.
How do you know?
I know.
Did you want my mother to have an abortion?
We didn't talk about it.
Do you think she would have had one if you'd asked her to?
I don't know. Look, this was so long ago.
I do. I think she wishes she had the abortion.
You're wrong.
Am I? Have you noticed how she treats me?
Oh, please, mother-daughter conflicts during adolescence are exceedingly common.
What do you know about these things? You're like a priest giving marriage advice.
Not from first-hand experience, you are correct, but most of my friends do have children, and they always complain about endless conflicts.
Did my mother complain?
Not too much.
What did she say?
Well, She was disappointed that you weren't sufficiently grateful for all her work on the Palestine project.
Grateful? Oh, I should have been grateful. Yeah, right.
Well, aren't you proud of what you've accomplished?
Proud. I didn't accomplish anything. It was her project all along. And then she brought in the most boring speaker. That was the worst.
I thought Rosie was a dynamic speaker.
Please, it was awful. She started by telling us she'd give us a laconic interpretation of Zionist pathology, and that was the only sentence I understood.
Lacanian, not laconic, the French psychoanalyst. Never mind.
You should have seen my mother sitting in the back with a stupid grin on her face.
She was proud of you.
You'd think, wouldn't you? I say she was proud of herself. There she was, sitting with all of her friends from the movement. She was a success. Her daughter was following in her footsteps, becoming a progressive agitator. I used to think I was just a status symbol for her, but now I know I'm just another stepping stone.
She isn't competing with you, she's on your side.
My side? Whenever we argue, which is every time we talk, it ends with her telling me two things. One, don't shout. And two, Gwendolyn, I forgive you because I understand you have to go through your edible phase and metaphorically kill your parents to become an independent woman.
Quite maddening.
I wish I were dead.
Oh, no, you mustn't talk like that.
You don't know the half of it. Last month, I had a friend sleep over before she went back to London for spring break. One night, that's it. And at dinner, Dad cracked some lame joke about female mud wrestling. And then he tried to prove how cool he was by reciting some ancient rap about liking big butts that ended with my anaconda don't want none unless you've got buns, hun.
Oh my God, how inappropriate.
And if that weren't embarrassing enough, Mom went ballistic about how hip-hop lyrics objectify women and cause teen pregnancies and rapes and AIDS and climate change. The whole shebang. And when Dad tried to calm her down, she just screamed that he was a phallocentric deadwood. And he just sat there. He never fights back. Dad lives in a world of G&Ts and one-liners, because that's all he can get into or out of his mouth with her around.
Did you try to stop them?
Nothing I say is heard. They just don't care. Are they gonna split up?
I hope not. No, probably not. Come here.
This house is hell.
They fuck you up, your mum and dad. They may not mean to, but they do. They fill you with the faults they had and add some extra just for you. But they were fucked up in their time by fools in old-style hats and coats, who half the time were soppy stern and half at one another's throats.
What is that?
An old favourite, Philip Larkin.
I still hate her.
You have a little more than a year before you go to college, and then you will be free to make your own choices. Go where you want, live with whomever you choose, be whomever you like.
If she could just...
You know, there's a French saying, tu viens à point, il faudra attendra. You know it?
No.
It means, in time, everyone gets what they deserve.
I see. Yes. Sometimes it just takes 17 years.
Good morning.
Good morning. Did you sleep all right?
That was great, thanks. What's your exact address?
258 St. Ronan Street.
You're up early.
I need to take Gwen to school.
There's school on Saturdays?
Part of the mystique. Yes, take the highway. Exit 4.
I'm waiting. Thanks.
Coffee, something to eat.
Coffee would be great.
How?
Black, no sugar.
Can I help?
No, I'm okay. Thanks. So, work around here?
In a little non-Catholic college down the street.
Do you like it?
I wouldn't say I'm changing the world. Year after year, I teach broad survey courses to undergraduates who would rather be anywhere else but in my classroom.
Why do they pay so much if they don't want the education?
That's the case everywhere. It's as much the professor's fault as the students. My Columbia mentor once said that students are like a box of tissues. You use them up, and every year you dirty the box.
Pleasant. But you're different.
Very, of course. I thought I was different. No, I really do like teaching. I imagine that I would inspire my students' social and political passions with fiery lessons about the past, but most of them would rather be surfing the web.
We mustn't give up. Otherwise... Oh, God. I'm sorry.
Okay, okay. So you got the fellowship.
What?
I may not teach at Yale, but I'm not an idiot.
I don't know anything about anyone else's fellowship.
Professors from godforsaken colleges don't get fellowships at prestigious institutes. Truth be told, postdocs from the Middle East shouldn't be able to even...
You see, it's possible.
An impressive accomplishment, especially considering his views on Israeli academics.
He thinks very highly of my mentor.
You're not that naive.
How do you know it's not because of my research proposal?
He doesn't really care for research. Your song about the racist settlers, on the other hand...
What do you know about settlers?
My sister is a settler.
Don't say. How did that...
How did it happen? Well, we grew up in an observant home. I went in one direction and she went in another. After college, she decided that she wanted to study in a girls' yeshiva in Jerusalem. And 6 months later, she announced that she's getting married and moving to a settlement called Atar.
I've demonstrated there. It's near Jerusalem.
I was a big leftist back then. I told her that her and her friends were a bunch of messianic racist thugs.
Some in a frat are.
Perhaps.
Though, you must admit that the Jerusalem hills are quite breathtaking.
Never been there.
The territories?
Israel. My relationship with my sister wasn't so great, and that conversation was the end of it.
Of course, not all settlers are...
Are there bloodthirsty thugs of your play?
I don't think this was our message.
What was your message?
Coexistence.
Of course.
You cannot make peace without seeing the world from the perspective of the other.
They want peace? I haven't noticed.
I'm not that cynical.
I'm cynical? I'm not the one making a career of kosherizing the new anti-Semitism. Do you think that if you had portrayed a more nuanced and complex picture that someone would have invited you to perform at Yale? And that your tour would coincide with a fellowship at the prestigious institute in New York?
Your loyalty to your sister is touching, but...
The question is, do you know any settlers?
We're not exactly friends, but from time to time we'll get together and...
And throw rocks at one another.
We oppose violence in all its forms.
Of course. My nephew lost an eye at one of your nonviolent encounters.
I'm sorry, it's always sad when
Don't
somebody...
apologize, it's not your fault. It's better this way.
Thanks. My mother has had it with my activities.
A steady diet of rockets would have such an effect.
You know the saying that a conservative is a liberal who's been mugged? Well, in my family, hawk is a dove that's come in contact with terror. This tour is my graduation ceremony. Hannah, look, I've done my part. I've gone to the peace tents, went to the demonstrations, harassed soldiers at roadblocks, fought with settlers.
Abandoning the sinking ship. Good for you. Alex are sealed.
I'm like a man who married 2 wives, one young and the other old. Each morning the young pulled out all his gray hair, and each evening the old all his black, until he left totally bald. I don't apologize or have any regrets. The occupation is horrible. But whenever rockets are thrown at my home, I lose it. And if I blurted my confusion in the wrong place, I could forget about a career in academia.
So much worse here.
Forgot Israel was such a pain in the ass for you American Jews.
Are you kidding? You know, we have to constantly prove that even though we're Jewish, we're anti-Zionist. I threw in my lot with Daryl in the movement. Severing ties with my sister was my personal sacrifice. Proof of my solidarity to the oppressed and my commitment to the movement.
I have a hole in the stomach from all this.
For years, I played the Jewish alibis for these shits. You know that when I was in Columbia, I was a part of a group of students that approached some Arab students to try to have some peaceful dialogue. And when that didn't work, I was the one that was literally getting on my knees to ask them to talk. They refused. They said that talking would betray their fighting brethren.
Can't you see their point of view?
I don't give a fuck about them. No one really does. They barely give a fuck about themselves. Have you ever seen any Palestinian domestic initiative or any road projects? Education reforms? No. Our caring is nothing more than self-indulgence. But I've changed. Not overnight, of course. Do you know that when my mother called to inform us about my nephew, my humanitarian wife said she had no sympathy for the little Eichmanns.
My God.
She called him an Eichmann. He's barely 14 years old. To his grandmother. How did it happen to her?
Not only her. Instead of finding common ground with the other side, you hunted. Only to discover that you and your family are the actual target.
You too. Careful. They trample on people like us without blinking.
What's with Gwen?
She's still upstairs.
You haven't called her yet?
Gwendolyn, you'll be late.
She brings him into our home, and I'm the one acting as if I'm hiding something. You ever seen such a loser?
You're far from a loser, and believe me, I'm an expert.
I have no right to complain.
What do you mean?
My darling wife established rules from the outset, and I followed of my own free will. You know, when we first started dating, Harvard announced its annual porn event. No, not an orgy. It's a party with a screening of a porn movie. That year they were showing the old classic Deep Throat. Well, Daryl wanted to skip that and attend the alternate protest activity. Some erotic feminist art films. So, instead of watching pornography, we saw someone that looked like Hillary Clinton peeling an orange under soft focus lights while Ravel's Bolero played in the background. With a panel discussion afterwards, of course.
You Americans are funny people. I didn't know couples still had open marriages.
You don't.
Really? I wouldn't be able to live like this.
Look, when they started, when Daryl got her fellowship at the Institute, I had to figure out how I got into such a humiliating place. I went through a difficult period. But then I realized that the most important thing in my life is my family. So, I chose to teach at Alberta so that Daryl could remain at Yale, and I'm choosing to wait out their affairs. It is what it is.
You're a good man, Scooter. A bit fucked up, but a good man nonetheless.
Daddy, I'm ready.
She's still calls you Daddy. How sweet.
She's my nafama.
So?
Bye.
My ride should be here any minute. Could you please get GW?
What are you worried about?
I beg your pardon.
Why do you think he's so interested in you? Why he travels such distances to interview every candidate? Think a minute. What really interests him? You don't get it? Money.
He's interested in my overdraft?
If he doesn't get a grant, they'll replace him at the Institute. He's counting on your mentor and his brother-in-law. You can take a break from the show. He's here to dance for you.
They really should be here by now.
Coffee?
Okay.
You've got to wake up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart.
Look, Daryl, it's Carol King.
Good morning.
What happened to you this morning?
What do you mean?
Last night he was boasting to me about his infallible internal alarm clock.
So you've also heard about the marvels of his prostate.
I hear it's the best thing about getting old.
And he never worries about missing a flight.
Ah, hilarious. Is there coffee left?
In the kitchen. Should I get you some?
Would you be so kind?
Delighted, sir.
So, how is my monthly feeling this morning?
Fantastic.
That's great. So where are you going next?
We fly back tonight. Yale was our final performance.
Oh, I was hoping you'd be able to stay in New York a few more days.
Me too, but unfortunately we don't control the itinerary.
Oh well, I'll see you in September.
Looking forward.
Half and half, one sugar.
Thanks, dear.
So, you got a fellowship at the Institute. How wonderful.
Yes, I'm looking forward to meeting many New York writers and turning my dissertation into a book.
Do you have a publisher yet?
Not yet. It's not that easy from Israel.
I'll put you in touch with a few editors I know.
You'd think with such connections, he'd have published much more. Well, that fellowships, sabbaticals, and all that comes out of it is recycled material from the famous dissertation. Where's the second masterpiece, darling?
I'm struggling with writer's block. This isn't the place.
Some writer's block. There isn't a month he doesn't mouth off in some blog.
Public intellectuals do not seclude themselves in ivory towers and write books and articles no one reads.
He's online for you, for me, for all of us.
Public engagements come at the
Oh,
expense
what
of...
sacrifice. You're lucky you got a fellowship from him this year, because next year he'll no longer be the director of the Institute, and then...
She's just bitter because I couldn't offer Scooter a fellowship this year.
To be more precise, he gave you Scooter's fellowship.
The two are completely separate things.
Who are you fooling? You gave the director's fellowship, the one you can award to anyone you'd like.
Forgive her. She has a very hard time with Scooter's disappointments.
Forgive him. He's having a very hard time with the fact that they'll fire his ass.
There are those who publish every feminist fart, and there are those who value quality.
He's just still sore over our prostate jokes.
You got to know him quite well in a very short time.
She read my palm.
You read his palm.
Please, we were all drinking.
Can you read mine?
Please.
Oh, she can't read your left, Jen. She can only read right palms.
Why didn't you let Jeffrey read your palm?
If you don't mind, I want the expert, not some fly-by-night trainee like Jeffrey.
I really don't want to.
Come on.
Aren't we in a gladiatorial mood this morning?
What's with you?
Okay, okay. The two of you. Where's my pen? Let me see. I can't. I'm too tense. Another time.
Why are you so stressed out?
The flight. I'm always anxious on days I fly.
Right.
Daryl.
Jeffrey, I can handle this myself. Look, Professor Lewis. I didn't know what I walked into last night, and I'm sorry if I put my foot in my mouth or did anything to offend you.
Poor Anna. Scoot, did you know that our guest was awarded a fellowship from the Institute?
I had to recuse myself from the committee's discussion of your application on account of our long-standing friendship. Next year, mate, I'll make sure of it. I'm working on a big grant which will enable me personally to select a few more awards. Will you excuse me? Is your prostate giving you problems yet?
Do you walk the dog?
Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. Our dog is very old and accident-prone, so we must be vigilant about his schedule. Should I take him out now?
I'll walk him. I need to get some fresh air this morning.
Comes from living alone all these years.
Jesus. Did you get that check?
Not recently.
Do you want me to check it for you? Honey, do you know where I can get some Vaseline? I gotta take care of someone else's bladder challenges.
Can I come with you? I can do some fresh air myself.
He barely walks, so it'll be short, sure. By the way, Gwen seems to have misplaced her cell phone this morning. Do you know where it is? Have you seen it?
Did she call it?
She muted it last night.
She left it on the on my desk in the bedroom. I'll get it. Here.
What was Gwen's phone doing in your room?
She left it there early this morning.
What?
Your screaming woke her up. I believe it was in my fucking house that brought her downstairs. You really should watch your language when raising a teenager. Not a very good example, you know.
Shit. Did she hear what we were saying?
Some of it.
It's like pulling teeth. He's coming right back. Just tell me what happened.
You mean you didn't get to tell your husband you were leaving him?
GW?
Gwen would have been surprised. She heard you swear the marriage is done.
That's all?
Not really. She knows we were lovers. I think she believes that is no longer the case. She was worried I was her father, but I put that one to rest too. The worst for her was hearing your regrets of having you in the first place.
Oh my God.
Ça fait mal.
She thinks I wished I never had her.
Oh, no. I persuaded her we were having a monumental tiff and said things we didn't mean. I pulled out all the stops, including the Holocaust.
Holocaust?
I told her the story about my mother at the pedicure. You know, Auschwitz is a summer camp. Never fails.
It's been such a rough year. I'm the worst mother.
She'll get over it, okay? Come on, dear. Maybe it's for the best. She doesn't know that we kept at it for 2 decades. She thinks we were lovers long ago. She'll be upset with you for a little while, and then she'll get over it. And you'll see, soon enough, she will be very proud of you. The famous professor. Maybe even a sterling professor one day.
She'll never get near gender studies even if she goes to Mount Holyoke.
Oh, yes, she will. And when your Festschrift is published, your daughter will host the party. And the teachers.
Stop.
So sorry to disturb. Thank you again for your kind hospitality, Professor Lewis. Looking forward to continuing our dialogue. Bye, students.
Go on, mate. Why don't you tell her about how she picks up the dry cleaning? I'm sure Gwen will roto-door that.
I should go. Daryl, could you
You stay right here.
Scooter, give me the car keys. I'll drive GW to the station and then we'll talk.
What will we say?
Not now, in private.
No.
Oh, come on, Scooter, don't act out.
Don't turn this house into a prison.
You meant to say a concentration camp.
Oh, Holocaust reference, how convenient. You're turning into one of those Jews who
One
use
of
it-
them? Is that what this is about?
Daryl complained that you lost your soul, Gabby. Don't you realize this has to do with what transpired?
Run that by me again.
Your wife is a passionate progressive, a woman who devotes herself for the causes of the voiceless, from survivors of Sabra and Shatila to... and many others. It's who she is. It's who you were too. But you have undergone the banal transformation of middle age. Your heart has moved from the left side of your breast Feel right.
Don't deny it.
Deny what?
That you've switched to the side of the liberal totalitarian emergency state.
Can we tone down the political polemics and concentrate on what's at hand?
The personal is political.
Much as I'd like to stay in chat.
Let bygones be bygones. Your turn.
What?
Are we playing the cliche game? You say one and I say another that starts with the last letter of yours. I believe it's your turn to start with the letter S. I think save the drama for Obama would work best here, don't you?
You're out of your fucking mind.
What do you expect? Our family is falling apart and you mouth off some slogan.
Sorry, I wasn't original enough. But put yourself in my shoes for just a minute, if you still can. I married a soulmate. A boy I met at a Noam Chomsky workshop. We marched together for peace and justice.
What about peace and justice for us?
I cannot live with someone who's not on my side. It's bad enough to be subjected to scurrilous innuendos such as self-hating Jew, Jewish anti-Semite.
Israel denier.
Big humanitarians. See the other side and only the other side. Can't you see this is about us?
See what I mean? He's lost his soul.
I've lost nothing. You see, I thought that your affair started when Daryl had her fellowship at the Institute. I thought I didn't mind. I mean, we've been together since my senior year in college, so the passion is long gone and the sex, however kinky, is, how should I put it, routine, exhausting, and fucking boring.
You're such an asshole.
I thought I could live with your affair. Heck, many married men do.
A long tradition of that, mate.
Well, I've told myself that you are the most devoted mother. A bit pushy, but heck, raising children is a competitive sport nowadays. And you are my oldest friend. The only one, really. Companionship could be a pleasant enough arrangement, and I would do anything for my daughter.
Well, none of that has changed.
Oh, yes, it has. You see, Glenn and I shared a fascinating ride to school this morning. I knew something was wrong, but I thought it had to do with the fact that she had lost her cell phone. Modern teenagers, cell phones are the blood vein of their social lives. But guess what she said?
Last night, Gwen overheard us fighting. She took some things out of context.
I bet she did. She confused your Auschwitz as a summer camp routine. She said that your mother had terrible pedicures in Majdanek, and that you were about to leave me.
I'm considering it.
When Glenn asked me if I knew about the affair, I said that I did, and that I believed it would pass, and that you would come back to us.
That was very wise of you.
But instead of me reassuring her with my mature and reasonable reply, she got pissed off. She said that her father was a drunken loser and her mother a whore.
I told you she took
No
some
more
things-
lies, please! Last night, she found out that you were sleeping with each other before she was even born. What do you say to that? That you were sleeping with him before he supposedly lost my soul while it was still your parent?
Scooter.
How can you, am I right?
Just take it easy.
How can you guys leave with yourself? You and your pretentious talk of progressive politics. Do you ever tell the truth? Do you see people at all? You have no human decency. You and your causes. What about your family? Do you care about anyone but yourself and your fucking career?
My career. My career got us this house. My career pays for Gwen's school. Yes, I'm proud of where I am and what I've accomplished. And most of all, of raising a smart and talented daughter.
Your life is just a performance. All to get your Festriff and Sterling professorship. What is it with you radicals? Why are the best friends of humanity the worst cunts?
I don't have to take this anymore. Listen to me, you parasite. You ask if I see the truth? I do. I see that we no longer share the same truths. I'm going to drive GW to the station and pick up Gwen. That should give you enough time to pack up a few bags. You hear me? Out of here before I get back.
This is my home too.
Really? And how much have you contributed to this house? My grandparents' German reparation money paid for the down payment. My Yale salary pays for the rest. Your Alberta's salary? Don't kid yourself. Even our most junior new hires get paid more. Oh, and in case you forgot, the house is in my name only.
You
I
can't.
can, and I am. GW, are you ready?
I need a minute.
I'll be waiting in the car.
Go get run over by a bulldozer in Gaza! Don't worry, I'm the nonviolent type. I'm a coward with nowhere to go.
What do you mean?
I have no one.
Family?
I haven't been in contact with my sister in years.
Well, she's no good. Work?
No.
You've lived here for many years. Surely there must be
No one
someone.
gives a fuck about anyone in this town.
There were a lot of people at Gwen's bat mitzvah.
That was a group bat mitzvah, and most of them weren't even our friends.
Some were. I was.
Don't you remember? They were told to come at 9:30, came on time, and politely refrained from talking during services.
So they weren't Jewish. You can turn to the Gentiles. Some of them, I hear, are very nice. What about people from the movement? You've known some of them for decades.
Oh yes, the famous community of the principled and disobedient. Except that you have to be obedient to be a member. You know, when my preference for democracies over mullahs was exposed, I vanished from the radar. People I worked with for years wouldn't even say hello to me when we crossed paths. And I know very well not to ask for anything from the community. Those are the least generous of all. What is that awful smell of aftershave? Are you still using Pablo Rabanne?
You recognize the scent. I'm impressed.
In New York, we knew you were coming up the stairs because of that odor. I haven't smelled it in years.
I had a few hours to kill at a duty-free in Brussels, and I came across a bottle, so I got one for old time's sake.
What do they say? The sense of smell triggers memory?
Does it?
Doesn't this Jewish nose? I still remember the first time you came to us that Friday night. The big star coming to our mice-infested apartment. And you came in with that awful smell of Paco Rabanne. Still looking like a movie star. You still look amazing.
Thank you.
No, I really believed in you. You seem so genuinely interested in our ideas and lives. Not really known for any other Columbia faculty member. I think I did love you. I suppose we both did.
Well, you were my family.
Please.
I mean it. Look, you'll be all right, old chap. Do you mind maybe need some loan for a hotel? I can spare about $1,000. What's so funny?
What?
Here, take it. I mean it.
You're going to give me money? That's a great idea. I could be Daryl's pin. How many times did you sleep with her in the past 20 years? 40 times on average? That means that if you gave me $1,000, you would be paying me $1.25 a trip, give or take a few nickels.
I think that's a good price.
You are a real bastard. Do you know how awful you are?
You know, Scoot, I'm used to petty-minded people envying success.
Success? You a success? You haven't written a substantive piece of work since your dissertation. I mean, I would be the first to say that you had some real promise.
You should talk.
Oh, me? I'm but a great researcher. My only aspiration is to get into a footnote, but you squandered real brilliance. Only to be the Gentiles' Jew. Someone who could say that someone who gets on a bus, eats pizza, sits at a Seder can be shredded to pieces. Why can't you people be more like the principal, Professor Wachowski? Hear, O Israel! Tear down that wall! May the mighty river flow with the blood of dismembered bodies out to the sea. Well, you're a real credit to the race.
It's not very original calling me a self-hating Jew.
You! Self-hating! You wouldn't even have the spine to be a self-hating Jew. If you didn't write about Israel and the Jews, you would be nothing but a boring academic. No one cares about you unless if you write about Jews in Israel. No, Israel bashing is a career move. It's self-love, not self-hate.
What, did you give up the New York Review of books for those magazines at the supermarket?
You and your mother are quite alike. Auschwitz was a summer camp, and Gaza is a concentration camp.
Are you accusing me of using my mother's tragedy for self-marketing? Or...
By Jove, I think he's got it. And if anybody challenges your nonsense, you can play both the bully and the victim.
Nobody speaks to me like that.
Not to your face.
You meaningless, ugly wanker.
What, did you run out of cliches in French?
You can't piss on my chips and not expect me...
What? What can you do to me? My career is shot and I've just been thrown out into the street.
Really? Do you know why Gwen left her phone in my room last night?
What does that do?
Don't you want to know what happened?
You and Daryl got into a fight and she came and confronted you.
Indeed she did. She learned that our affair was almost 2 decades old and asked me if I was her father, so I proved to her that I wasn't.
What are you talking about?
I fucked her. Your little girl, your precious jewel, your Shayna Maidler. In that room, on that couch, on those 850-pound sheets.
Yeah, right after you did the dog. Even you wouldn't stoop that low.
Oh, I was not her first. Oh no, she did quite well for her age.
I know what you want. You want me to argue with you. You want me to fight you as if the struggle will make the fantasy real.
This is no fantasy.
Oh, yes it is. You reach for many fantasies, my friend, that they say you are as good as you are. That we have a room in our house for you all the time. That the G&Ts will constantly be mixed, and that the conversation will flow as freely as the sex. That we are your family.
How can you deny?
What? My fear? My humiliation? I don't have to. But you do, or else you'll be left with nothing. That's why you have to continue to live the lie of Jeffrey Wachowski. Here, let me help you with your luggage. It's slippery outside, and you have a bad back. Come on. Don't keep Daryl waiting.